iOS 18 parts pairing lab. I last left off on the video that I did the other day, giving up, telling everybody to go complain, this stuff doesn't work. That might still be true, but I had a success the very next morning. I came back and check out Greg's phone. It is paired to somebody else's flood illuminator. So I was able to swap a screen with the flood illuminator from somebody else's phone over to Greg's phone. And look, it's letting me set up Face ID. My face, it's unlocked. Isn't that exciting? So now we want to find out, was that a fluke, or is this something that we can count on? We have so many questions that people want to know the answers, so let's dive in, and I'm going to try to keep this quick. I'm going to say the experiment, and then I'm going to show you the result. Let's get started. Experiment number 1. Did we preserve true tone by transferring a screen from somebody else to Greg's phone? We can check that right now. It's Greg's phone, and I can check true tone just like this. True tone off, true tone on. I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but true tone is working. All right, now let's go to the next question. Can I swap together an Apple screen from here and an Apple front flex from a different screen to make a new part that really comes from 2 different phones? That's the question I want to ask. I think that sounds a little confusing, so let me show you what I mean with these phones. So let's take this case here. This is Maddie's phone, and Maddie's phone really does need a screen replacement. Her problem is the screen. Now, Maddie's phone doesn't have anything wrong with Maddie's proximity sensor, her flood illuminator flex, whatever you want to call that thing. So we've got that. I would like to go ahead and give Maddie a new Apple screen, or new to her, right? This is a used screen. It's Belinda's screen. Now, Belinda does not have her native front flex. It's damaged, it's gone. So what if I were to create a screen using Apple OEM used Belinda's screen? So let's take Belinda's screen and let's put Maddie's proximity sensor on it to make a new part that did not exist in Apple's database. Could we take a screen like that and plug it into a phone? Now, rather than plug it back into Maddie's phone, since this is already paired, let's go ahead, making it even more complicated, and let's plug that whole thing into Greg's phone. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make that hybrid screen combining the Belinda and the Maddie stuff, and I'm going to apply it to Greg, and let's see what happens. There we go, the Belinda-Maddie hybrid screen. Now we're going to install that on Greg's phone and see how does it react. Go to Settings, General, and then you click About. That's how you get to this part, the Parts and Service History. Okay, parts and service. With the hybrid screen on it, it recognizes there's a new display. Restart to configure your new display. So it wants to go into that configuration, and it says Face ID issue. Let's see, can it pair the hybrid screen? All right, continue. Now this is interesting because it's already been on Wi-Fi. Repair assistant and privacy. Configuring. No! This part is not functioning as expected. Let me zoom. Boo! Boo! Unable to configure display. Unable to configure display. Restart phone. Boo! That really stinks. This tells us for sure that you cannot present the phone and pair it with a part that it doesn't expect from Apple. So this entire thing that I was all excited about, gone up in smoke, because you can't just take the little piece, the broken flood illuminator, for example. You cannot take one of those and combine it together with an OEM Apple screen. You must have both of those pieces are paired together, they are tied together, and they can't be separated. And that really stinks for repair. now Maddie is going to have to buy the expensive $270 screen if she wants an OEM screen when I have one right here that I could give her. Okay, the next question. Let's go ahead and return Greg's phone to how it was working before, and then we'll do another experiment. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to reconfigure Greg back to what was last working, because we're scientists here. We always got to have a control. Brad just said, there's the middle finger I was waiting for. That sucks. Ugh. All right, let's go back to the Greg phone. I was lucky when I did this the other day because I just took this screen was, I think, straight from like the parts bucket. We're going to do a little bit of a bonus experiment. I'm just making sure that Greg's phone can repair and recalibrate back to its original screen, because I just tried to pair it with another screen. So what happens if you have a failed pairing and you try to go back to what you had before? So let's let Greg's phone wake up and see if it even cares that we tried to do a repair that then we had to abandon. So let's check that out. All right, so Greg is back whole with his screen. All right, so now I'm curious, does Face ID work? Will it see me? Greg, your background is very difficult for me to tell. Yeah, okay, so I was able to roll back, and Greg's phone is back to how it was. Let's check in settings, though. All right, let's see. Parts and service history. Is it going to rat us out that we tried to put the hybrid screen on it? Nope. This is what's crazy about this whole like service history. These phones, I am going to be putting in dozens and dozens of parts on them, but it's only ever going to report, oh yeah, yesterday, a successful repair is the only one that gets written down. Okay, so now we're going to consider Greg's phone is whole, so we're going to move on to our next experiment. The next thing that we really want to know is, can we pair a true depth sensor? So what's the true depth sensor? That is this whole big piece right here. So we're talking about your front camera, your selfie camera, your dot projector, which is all together on one piece with your infrared camera. This piece largely is Face ID plus your front camera. Now, you can replace this part with Apple self-service. So I would expect this to work because I can go to Apple self-service and I can order that part for an iPhone 12. I can plug it in and it can pair. But when I do that, the pairing process is very different than screens and batteries. I have to use a Mac, and it seems like it's just way more complicated. So I'm curious to see, will I be able to pair a used OEM true depth camera assembly from somebody else's phone? So let's do it. We're going to take out Greg's and we're going to swap in Belinda's. See what happens, because we know both of those work since Face ID works. We're scientists. I'm going to put my little G on for Greg. The 30-foot ladder guy? Are you sweating it right now, Brad?
No, we're good.
Is it boot?
Yeah.
Yay!
Good touch.
Mr. 30-foot ladder is going to live to see another day thanks to Brad's CPU transfer. Good job, Brad. Everybody, there's Brad. He just did it. All right, so we got the Greg true depth assembly. Now let's get Belinda's. Okay, so we are now going to put the Belinda true depth assembly into the Greg phone. Now while that's booting up, this I don't think is going to work, and here's why. When we did self-service repair for this particular repair, where we have to order a true depth camera and we're able to pair it, that true depth camera comes from Apple already married to the particular phone we ordered it from. So it's not generic. We can't just order one and put it in any phone. We have to order it per IMEI, and that's true for all of the repair parts. However, that one came and it had already had some programming done by Apple that married it to this, whatever phone we were using on the infrared camera. So the only thing our pairing process paired was the dot projector. So that's probably why this isn't going to work. But let's find out. Ever hopeful. All right, Greg, show us the money. Here we go. What's going to happen? Come on, do it. Boo, boo. All right, boo. We got another part is not functioning as expected, but it is functioning. Unable to configure. Restart phone. Boo. Boo! No true depth camera. So we took true depth camera from one phone where we proved that it worked and we were using it and we installed it in here, and now just to prove that nothing happened technically, maybe I damaged it, I'm going to take it back to the original phone and make sure that it still works for Face ID, which I already did, and it does. So true depth not working, which is really unfortunate because that is a major failure point for these phones. And you can buy them from Apple, so they are set up to pair them. They chose not to. Or maybe they can't. Maybe they will later. Maybe they will tomorrow. All right, let's move on to the next experiment. This is a Brad special experiment. Special combination. Brad points out that there are 3 flexes here that we're attaching. So let's review. You have 3 flexes. One is for your dot projector, right? So you have separate, 3 guys are married together here on one park bench. Your infrared camera, your front camera, and your dot projector. So A, B, and C. So Brad thinks that maybe you could split this apart. He thinks that the dot projector, I'm gonna quote you right. You think that the dot projector may be programmable as long as it is installed with the IR cam that it's expecting. Well, that's easy to test. Let's go ahead and test that. What happens if we give the phone what it expects as far as its infrared camera, and we're only going to change the dot projector? Will it allow us to pair just the dot projector? Because you can pair just the dot projector with Apple self-service, right? Because it kind of comes pre-programmed where the laser camera is already programmed. Let's try that one. I like it. It's the hardest one to hybridize. All right, so we're going to leave off that one and instead plug in Belinda's. Okay, this is crazy. Greg's selfie cam. Well, look at that. This one, I actually would not blame it if it didn't work. This one really shouldn't work. This one has no business working whatsoever. Okay, let's boot up this fun project. A new Face ID is detected. Okay, will it pair? It's like, will it blend? Really searching that database hard. It's like, I don't know what to make of this. What do you think, Carl? Configuring. Nope, this part is not functioning. This part is not in our database. Restart phone. No, you need all 3. You need to have all 3, and they need to match, and you need to stop making little experiments in these phones. Okay, no surprise there, but when we made a hybrid of mismatched chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry true depth camera, some from Greg, some from the other one, it's not recognized, and that will not pair. And there we go. And Belinda's phone also unlocks. So we've been able to get back to the beginning, where now we have our 2 phones are working with the pieces that have been paired to them. Once we return them back, all this monkeying around doesn't matter. It's gone back to the beginning. All right, let's move on to our next experiment, which is to ask the question, what about aftermarket? And we will use a replacement soft OLED aftermarket screen. This is iPhone 12 Pro. And this is a mobile-centric, pretty typical common screen. And let's just see, can we pair it? Can we pair it? Now, I know what you guys are going to want me to do. I know what you are thinking. What happens if we transfer over the screen ICs? Well, that one you're going to have to do on your own. I am not a fan of transferring screen ICs. What does the thing even say? It says, I know that you have a new display on here that's not your display, Greg. How dare you? Let's see what happens. For a second there, I thought it just like, nope, the screen went dark and you don't have a screen anymore. Apple will verify that the parts used in your recent repair are functioning correctly and can be configured for this phone. Good luck with that, Apple. Checking the database, checking with the mother, asking for permission. What? What? Oh, Brad. You will never guess in a million years, I'll tell you that. Come over here and guess. I'll give you 100 guesses. This phone is smoking crack. Brad, take a look. I will zoom in for you just so you can see. Take a look at what it says. This is my aftermarket screen. There is no question. Look at this. 100% aftermarket screen. What the hell? Did you see it?
It said finish?
It said, quote, "This is a genuine display." That's what it said, end quote. What the hell is going on here in this crazy world? I'm about to lose my mind over here. I don't even know if I can publish a video that says mobile-centric screens. Buy them quick. You know, mobile-centric, you need to send them a message and you need to mark up your screens to be more than the OEM right now. This system is dumb. Stop trying to cut my steak. All right, let's see. Let's get a really close view. This is pretty unbelievable. Parts and service history. Oh, no, it goes back to, it said it was okay, but it won't let me, like, it's a loop.
Oh.
It's a troll. I wonder if you have paused the video and ran to go buy a bunch of Mobile-Centric's X07 screens, you need to empty your cart out. It didn't stick. It did the loop thing. It said it was going to be okay. It said it was going to pair, and then at the last second it said nah, gotcha. Gotcha there for a second. This is coming up. It says this is a genuine Apple part. Now, why is it doing that? How would it possibly know? Because it's trying to communicate with these chips that are on the screen, and it's saying, seems legit to me. So there's some type of trickery that is making the phone think, just for now, that this is a Apple screen, but it's not, and it does figure that out. So when I hit continue, and this is the second time I've been on this loop, when I hit continue, it goes, oh, hold up, no. Restart to continue. So restart means it's not gonna work. Okay, it noped out of that real quick. All right, so despite a little bit of excitement there, it is true that aftermarket screens cannot be paired. Now, what happens if we transfer the original screen ICs to the aftermarket screen? I think that is a giant waste of time, because all you're doing, the only reason that you're doing that is not to gain any function, because the screen still works. So we've got Greg's phone here right now, and with the aftermarket screen on there, the screen works. So the only reason that anybody would even go down that road would just be to try to defraud somebody, right? To trick somebody into saying, hey, this is a genuine screen. It's not a genuine screen, so don't do that. I'm not gonna do that. You're on your own for that experiment. Okay, let's roll to the next one. This is the one that I'm most excited about. I really wanna drill down on this. I've been hearing some conflicting reports out there where some people are saying that they are not able to do what I just did, which is to take parts from iCloud locked phones that are locked to individual accounts and swap them, and then have the device pair to that other person's iCloud locked part. So why are some people saying it's not working for me? And they're showing scary messages like, this part is locked to an account. What's up with that? Let's go and look to see, what does Apple have to say about this? So Apple put out an article back in April where they described what's going on now. Let's take a look at that article. And I think in this entire article, there's one really important word, which is right here. It's the word or. So if we look at this piece of the article, it says that Apple is going to extend its iCloud locked protection to parts. That's really scary because most parts, if we look around the shop, there's tons of iCloud locked parts. How does a phone get to be iCloud locked? The most common way is people just abandon it, right? They just turn it into a shop and they don't pick it up because they go buy a new phone and they never think about it again. We have tons of devices that are just dropped off here. You know, hey, we found this in a drawer and we don't know what to do with it. Here you go. Those, they generally don't take the step to take the device off of their account. So as a result, all of these phones that have parts that maybe somebody else would like end up being iCloud locked phones. Now that's very, very different than lost or stolen status. So if you actually had your phone stolen, so you're at a bar, there goes your phone, you can go to iCloud.com and you can report your phone as lost or stolen. These are the legitimately actually stolen phones, not just junkyard trash phones that are discarded because nobody wanted them. That's a very, very important difference. iCloud locked, junkyard phone. Lost or stolen, somebody took your phone and is trying to sell it for parts. Bad, good. Recycling, good. Stealing phones and breaking them down for parts, bad. So I really hope that what's going on here is that Apple is saying, hey, look, if it's iCloud locked, activation locked, go ahead and use it for parts. But if it is marked lost or stolen, we're going to clamp down and prevent you from being able to pair that part to the device. However, that's not what they're saying in the article. It says this feature designed to limit iPhone theft by blocking lost or stolen iPhone from being reactivated. If a device under repair detects that a supported part was obtained from another device with activation lock. That's the iCloud recycle phones. No. Or lost mode. Calibration capabilities will be restricted. That's very vague because it sounds like they're saying both categories, good recycle and bad theft. They're saying, nope, you can't use any of that. That is extremely uncool. So we need to get to the bottom of this. That takes us to our next experiment. So we're going to go back to Greg's phone. And the first thing that I'm going to do with Greg's phone is I am going to take off this screen and I'm going to pair him back to one of the other screen assemblies that we have. I'll put him back on Belinda's and I'm going to pair them together just to make sure, even though it worked yesterday, can I still take Belinda's iCloud locked device screen and put it on Greg's phone? Let's make sure that we can get back to that state. And then if we can, we need to create a part that is marked lost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call Greg and see if I can get him to make his phone in lost mode, which should make that screen become lost. And if Greg doesn't pick up or if he doesn't answer, then I'm going to have to do the thing you're never supposed to do. Take apart your own phone for a video. All right, let's go start by putting Belinda's screen back on Greg's phone and trying to pair it. And as expected, it recognizes that there is a display, foreign display on here. So this step must be where it's actually reading the screen IC and writing it to the Apple database. Yep, so it succeeded and it's done. So I do think we learned a little something in today's lab, which is it sounds like the software is just reading something on the Flex, because we understand that MobileCentrix is using OEM Flexes. So if it reads something on the Flex to say, yes, this is a genuine screen, and then it's only in that second configuring step where it says, now let me take the serial number from the screen IC and send it to the Apple database, that's where it gets blocked when you're using an aftermarket screen. Or is Face ID just automatically going to work? Let's see. All right, look at my face, Greg. Yes, swipe up to unlock, so it recognizes my face. Okay, so now we have Belinda's screen, or actually this is the test part screen, test part box screen. So blue screen is now paired to Greg's phone. So Greg's screen is over here. This is Greg's original screen, but it's not Greg's screen anymore. So I'm going to take off the Greg label and I'm going to move it over to this. So now this is Greg's screen because this screen is paired. Okay. So now Greg's screen, at least in theory, we should be able to call up Greg and say, hey, Greg, do you want to do an experiment with us and put that screen into lost mode by making his phone lost? All right, I'm trying to call Greg, and Greg's phone is ringing. I'm like, what is that buzzing sound? Yeah, I'm calling Greg from my phone, and Greg's phone is ringing. Okay. I can't believe that. Yeah, missed call from Jessa. I wonder if there's another way. I don't think we're gonna have another number for Greg. This is in the name of science. We're gonna call the contact in Greg's phone called Greg's wife.
Hello?
Is this Greg?
Yes, this is
Oh
Greg.
my gosh, we got Greg by calling Greg's wife's phone number. That's fantastic. This is Jessa from iPad Rehab with your phone.
Yes, my wife just was like, why is Rochester calling? I'm not going to pick it up. And I was like, no, pick it up.
I was like, well, the first thing I did is I tried calling your number from the ticket, and then the phone on my desk started ringing. So I was like, that's not going to work. And then I was like, oh, I bet Greg's wife is in here, and we could, and it worked. And then I was like, she's not going to answer a random number, but you did. This is awesome.
Yes.
And so the reason that I'm calling you is actually because we're doing an important experiment. About 12 hours ago, maybe 24 hours ago now, Apple released iOS 18, and on iOS 18, they claim to be able to release some of the restrictions that they've had on using parts from one device to fix another device. So the thing that was wrong with your phone is actually a really small part of the phone that we could fix. It's a $15 part. However, if we just take one of those $15 parts and put it into your phone will reject it because that part is not paired to your CPU. So Apple makes your phone say, that's not my part. And the only way that Apple sells that same part is for $300 in this like large assembly. So it's like, you know, one of those things. So we've gotten all the data off of Greg's phone. So then we're like, well, let's see if we could do some experiments with Greg's phone. So I've been making a video, Greg's phone video. We've been doing all kinds of stuff to Greg's phone.
Okay.
So one idea is that if the phone was in lost mode, if a phone is in lost mode, that might be the trigger that makes those parts not able to be used for repair. We don't know. So here's where we're going with this. There's only one way to find out. We got to call up Greg. We got to locate Greg. We got to call him up. And we got to get Greg to go to iCloud.com and declare that this phone is lost and put it in lost mode.
Am I able to do that?
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. I just tried to do it with my phone because if Greg doesn't answer the phone, then I'm going to be forced to dig up my phone and see if I can put it in lost phone. And
am I able to, you know, like that, like find my iPhone app?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it the 52473?
Yep. Yeah, so your phone is now named 52473, number 1, Bad Flood.
Bad Flood.
Yeah, so you got to take old Bad Flood.
So you want me to mark it as lost?
Yes. So mark it as lost.
Loading.
Okay.
Says it's in lost mode.
It said lost mode is active now.
Okay.
Okay.
It's all going to be good news for you in the end because we've got all of your data is already safe. And
yeah, I was just going to say, like, that's obviously the most important part.
Yep. So we're not going to do anything to a phone until the data's safe. So all the data's already safe because it's kind of become a little bit of a pet.
Let's go.
All right. So I will call you back if we need you to like take it out of lost mode, or I don't know how long this is going to take. But thanks for being a good sport, Greg. I just knew that Greg's phone was going to have a good Greg behind it, and that he was going to be a good sport.
Greg's phone. Let's go.
Let's go, Greg's phone. All right, Greg. Thanks for picking up.
Of course. Well, thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. All right, bye-bye. Don't you just love Greg? Greg's my favorite. All right, so I can't get Greg. Greg's phone is not yet in lost mode. Not in lost mode, but he did do it. So I just went online to see how hard it was to put my phone in lost mode, and it did it. So here is my phone in lost mode. So now I'm going to do the unthinkable. I'm going to take apart my phone, Jess's phone, which happens to also be a 12 Pro, and I'm going to see what happens if I try to put my screen on Greg's phone, which might make Greg's phone be lost. Maybe I'll put my phone, I'm going to put my screen on Belinda's phone. All right, here's Jess's phone. Okay. This seal is pretty good that I put on here with the Apple OEM press. I'm going to scratch this. Okay. Now we are going to put the Jessa locked screen, the lost mode Jessa screen, onto the working Belinda phone. So Belinda phone, what do you think about getting married to lost screen? All right, I have to say so far that this is a little bit of nonsense. I can use the screen. So the idea of using parts pairing to prevent me from being able to take screens from stolen phones, that's not a terrible idea, but this implementation of it is stupid. This is a lost phone. This is a lost mode screen that is from a device that was lost or stolen, and the phone doesn't care. It's like, here, just use it anyway. So, all right, so now here's the question. Will we be able to actually pair this OEM stolen lost mode screen to Belinda's device? Let's try to do that. All right, so a new stolen display. Now this is where I agree to let Apple rat my phone out. It's wising up. Wait a minute, this screen is lost. This is an OEM screen, same as an aftermarket screen. After I click this, it's going to go tell on me. Go check with mom. Let's see. Something's up. Hold up. Wait a minute. Calling 911. What? Restart phone. What? It worked? What? It worked, I think. I feel like my screen is cheating on me right now. General about. Parts and service history. Display, genuine, which it is. All right. Look at me. Ah, okay. So it worked. Hooray! I was able to pair a screen from a lost or stolen phone, my phone. So now that rules out the idea that some devices are only accepting iCloud locked recycles and rejecting lost and stolen bad. that doesn't seem to be the case. So now we don't have an explanation for why it is that the 12 Pro set that I've worked with all seem to be able to take each other's screens. They're all locked to other accounts, no problem. My screen is definitely iCloud locked to my account. And yet, here it is working just fine on Belinda's phone. So there's some bugs to be worked out, I guess. I don't have an explanation for why there are credible reports out there of people having phones that come up as the part is locked to another device. I don't know what's up with that. So we can only assume that that is happening for certain models or for some other criteria that we just don't know. So that doesn't make any sense. Let's recap. What did we learn today in Parts Pairing Lab? If you just skip to, if you just skipped here to the end, makes sense. All right, we learned today that if you take an aftermarket screen, it'll make you think it's going to pair because the device will detect that it's a genuine flex. But then when it actually goes to configure and write the serial number of your aftermarket part to the mothership, it will realize that that's a problem and it will reject that. So you will not be able to pair aftermarket screens. We didn't test aftermarket batteries. We're going to assume that that's the same. We learned that repeatedly in the iPhone 12 Pro, we can take parts from one that are locked to this account or locked to that account, swap them, and they will pair to the new phone just fine many, many times. We learned that you cannot take a screen from here and a flood from there from two different devices and combine one assembly that has a flood and a mismatched screen. That will not pair. So you have to keep the parts as they were when they left Apple, which is the flex, or the flood is tied to the screen itself as one part, which is extremely unfortunate because that makes everybody sort of stuck with these expensive screens every time you need to just place the flood illuminator. So that really stinks. What also stinks is that apparently you can pair parts from lost or stolen devices just fine, at least if it's an iPhone 12 Pro. And we see credible reports out there of people saying, hey, I got these messages that say the part is lost or the part belongs to a locked device, a locked part concept. I have yet to see that, so I don't understand why that's not happening in the 12 Pro. We have learned for sure in our earlier experiments that you cannot pair parts on any of the iPads. The iPads just simply don't have that little repair widget that pairs the parts at all. We believe that phones that are older than iPhone 12 will also not work. We did some experiments to try with the true depth camera. It doesn't work. We were never able to transfer a true depth camera. You can buy one from self-service and get an OEM replacement, but you cannot take one that's working, used, and recycle it. Well, I mean, I believe rear camera works. We didn't try it, but we've heard credible reports that rear camera swap will work just fine. So it seems like it's in a state of flux, and we don't quite understand why the lost devices are able to be paired, and yet there's other people that are saying that they are getting these parts locked messages. So we're definitely still fearful that there is a larger plan to lock these parts down, hopefully with pressure that goes away. So it's up to you to be loud, talk on forums, talk in the news, make sure that your voice is heard to make sure that we can still recycle what it makes sense to recycle. All of the phones that are around us that have perfectly great usable parts, junkyard. We deserve to be able to keep a file cabinet, an iPhone junkyard. That's what we're going for. That's what the hope is, at least for me. And I will see you next time.